Hello, and welcome to the book chat. We are talking about Erha Volume 8 today. Things, um, things are happening. Mo Run's on trial, basically. Again, technically, as far as Mo Run understands it. There are a couple of things. I have notes for things that I'm just gonna yap about for a second, and then we're going to talk to the chat as we are wont to do about anything else or anything that I talked about but missed as I was yapping, anything like that. So to start, considering what we read last Thursday, not the nephew. Mo Run is not, he's not the nephew. And I still feel silly that when presented with Mo Run has Nangong blood, but is supposed to be the nephew of Shui Jingyang, I was more focused on how those two things intertwined. I was like, what's the tea? Where's the affair? As opposed to, gee, maybe there's something like wrong with that. Maybe that means that something greater is going on. So we're still feeling silly about that. Where's my pen? There it is. The fact that he is an Nangong keeps the blood alive, which, given other people in the Nangong ancestry, is depressing. But given that Nangong Se is a part of that family, it makes me feel a little bit better. Because, like, if Armo Run was going to emulate anyone in the Nangong family, it would very obviously be Nangong Se. So maybe we can just, like, New Game Plus this bloodline. Maybe we can get the ancestry onto a better foot. And we won't have such shitty associations like, I don't know, Nangong Yan. Also, nobody wanted to hear Mo Run out the first time he had this trial, and so he just killed everyone because he was like, why the fuck should I even bother explaining? And the funny thing about that to me is that this actually speaks to an extremely common real world issue in which, when we find out that someone is generally shitty and or like truly heinous, a lot of people, myself included, I fall into this trap all the time, even though I try not to, just decide that anything bad attributed with that person therefore must be true. It's like we kind of throw justice out the window because, like, what does it matter? He's a piece of shit. If he's accused of something or whatever, or there was a story about something that he did, blah, 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 we're like, well, sure, that must be true because he did all this other stuff. And the uncomfortable thing about life and actual justice is that that's not true. And that forces a type of nuance that's pretty uncomfortable for most people. And I actually admire the people who have such a lock on their sense of justice and their integrity that they're like, no, like, accuracy and fairness is what is important. And that doesn't stop just because the person has done XYZ over here. That does not mean that we should not care about the truth around this issue over here. And it's just deeply, I don't know if relatable is the right word, but that just struck me because it's both, in Mo Run's case, it's like, it's not fair that people were prejudging him in this accusation, because it sounds like so many other things that Taishan Jin did. And he very much, you know, cultivated a reputation that went hand in hand with what he was accused of over here. And what he was doing was so extreme that it's like, you're like, yeah, but what other conclusion would they come to? Like, of course they would. If people have a hard time doing that about much lesser situations and people and crimes, then when that happens with something as extreme as a dreaded emperor and all of the bullshit he did, it only makes sense when we're talking about humans, but it's still also unfair. It's just an interesting, it's an interesting place to put an element of this. And I admire the way that Meat Bun has just threaded that into it in an aspect of like the flashback and seeing what happened the first time around and all of that. That's a tricky thing to depict and comment on, and I appreciate the way that she did that, because, I mean, it would be worse to ignore it than to just go ahead and bring it up and be like, they wrote me off last time. They kind of, you can blame them, but you can't. But they kind of wrote me off last time, and that's why I just like killed everybody, right? Just an interesting ethical quandary. Justice quandary? Judicial quandary? There's a phrase in there somewhere. And then the last thing is that Duan Yan is better than me. She's much better than me. Because I somewhat mentioned this during the stream, but like, she looks at this asshole who had an affair with his wife, had an affair on his wife with her, treated her like absolute shit, abandoned her, all of that shit. Rich fucking asshole comes back around, and in this moment of rather pathetic compassion, because he's only having compassion for her because he had the consequence of his own actions, right? He's like kind of coming back around. He's like, actually, maybe I could take a bit. And she's like, fuck you, take your money, get the fuck out of my face, and leave us alone. And this is why she's better than me, because I would have temporarily taken the deal. I would have gotten myself and my son off the streets for an indeterminate period of time. I would have fleeced him for as much money as I could possibly get my hands on, and then beat it to, what was the place called? Shentong? Then I would have like fucking bolted. But I absolutely would have been like, oh yeah, sure, you can take us in. Yeah. No, absolutely. Because, like, I have no pride left after what I've been through, and I wasn't put through what Duan Yan was put through. So I would have been like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll take your money. Yeah, no problem. I'll hoard it and then leave you flat. But, yeah. That's why she's better than me. Aside from that, we're now going into what kind of feels like part 2 of Mo Run's big trial. And now that Meat Bun has made us all thoroughly afraid of context, I don't know. I want to have faith in Mo Run and believe that this is just a case of, hey, I'm living on the streets. This fucking absolute piece of shit has a better life than I do, so I'll get him out of the way so that I can, like, survive. I want to give him that benefit of the doubt. That's why the poll that I put in the field was what it was. I don't know, though. Because Meat Bun has made us all afraid of context. So it's not like it's unusual that I'm going into an Erha stream incredibly anxious, but here we are again. Just fully anxious. So anxious. All of the anxiety. How are we feeling? Oh, Liv brings up an interesting point up here. She said, and even if I'm a firm Chimay disliker, I know there's a story behind why. That's true. We don't have that answer yet. We still don't actually know much about him. How did... Oh, no. Oh, man. Great. Well, there's a long list of things I'm worried about Erha, and thank you, Liv, for adding one more. I hadn't thought of that. Oh, Selfie asks if I brought lemonade for Mike. No. I meant to, but I actually went to the Ren Fair this weekend and spent all of the money that I had for this week. So I have to go in unarmed yet again. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. I have apple juice. It'll be fine. Henry says Mo Run was not liable for his actions as Tae-Shan Jun, and there has to be more context. He's hidden shit from us before. He's hidden shit from us before. I don't think he just selfishly killed that boy. There's a lot to unpack here, Henry, actually. I obviously come down in the same way on Tae-Shan Jun as you do, Henry, and as I feel like most people do, in that he's not liable. He's just simply not. Like, you planted a seed of hatred and it blew up his psyche 10,000 times. He's not liable for what he did as Tae-Shan Jun, which is why it's so interesting that Meat Bun is bringing in something that he is liable for and really taking her time in making us all anxious as hell as we are finding out everything about this situation and trying to suss out, well, he's not liable for Tae-Shan Jun, but now we've brought in this element of something that he could have genuinely done with no influence from the flower. And that's concerning, to say the least. But then the second part of that, which is I lost your comment. Hang on. Which was that Henry didn't think that Mo-Run just selfishly killed the boy. I would actually be low-key understanding if he did. If it's kind of as simple as that. After being on the streets from the time that he could form memories to everything that happened with his mother's body and all of the mistreatment, etc., etc., if he saw an opportunity and took it, it's like he's culpable for that. But I would understand. And actually, that would make the character that is Mo-Run take on a little bit of a new dimension that would be really interesting. So I think that's a direction that Meat Bun could go. But again, context is a weapon in Meat Bun's hands. So If it's just that, I would be genuinely surprised. Oh, wait, I scrolled up like a fool. Oh, Blue, thank you. Love apparently wanted to make sure that I knew about the following. He said, you missed the Flame Emperor Sacred Tree was where the scroll was hidden, and Chuaning is made from the wood, hence why he was able to open the space-time gate. I did miss that. And very fortunately, because you guys take care of me, I got a couple of messages about that. Yeah, I entirely missed that. I did, yeah. Hence why he was able to open the space-time gate. That the whole the possibilities for around Tree Chuaning continue to grow. No pun initially intended. And it's concerning just like everything else. Henry says, I do love that Meat Bun saying that you can't judge someone based on their deepest pain and thoughts. Without the flower, Mo-Run would have never done this, even if part of him wanted to. I think that last part, even if part of him wanted to, have we gotten anything from Mo-Run about that? Because that's an interesting question. Because, like, the flower amplifies everything to such a degree that it could take, like, as an example, just minor dislike into absolute murderous intent. So, like, the degree to which he may have wanted to or thought about it remains in question. Thank you, Henry. When he was 5 and his mom was hurt, he said he wanted to kill and destroy all the people who hurt her. Thank you. Like, the words of an angry and hurt 5-year-old who's protective over his mother is something else entirely, which is interesting. That it can even amplify that 5-year-old's thoughts and motivations to the nth degree. Blue says, the cruelest thing about the flower isn't that it amplifies hate, it's that it absolutely wipes out anything good and fluffy. Do you think it wipes out anything good because it amplifies hate so much? Like they're kind of one and the same? When your hatred is exploded to the extreme, does that crowd out any good that is inside of you? These are the questions. Ooh, Henry says, identity questions. Who is someone without their best memories? I would get more, I would say also, in addition to best memories, like the most important memories, the ones that shape a person's empathy and compassion and positive relationships. I mean, those kind of fall under the header of best as well, but also specifically those, because those were specifically the ones that got removed. Of course, like, he had no reason to think Chuaning gave a shit. He had no reason, etc., etc. Oh, E says, the flower specifically wipes out memories of good things as like an additional effect, I think. If I recall correctly how it was explained. No, I think you're actually right. I think it did specifically go out of its way to say that it removes good things. But I would like to look at like the exact phrasing since that would also apply to it being crowded out. Although now that I think about it, I think they did specifically say that it removes. I really love the world building around the flower. It actually might be my favorite bit of world building since, oh shit, I can't remember what it's called, but it's in Heaven Official's Blessing. It's that fucking wild ass like creature or ghost or whoever that like feeds off of, oh shit, God, it doesn't feed off of like your malice, but like it has some weird fucked up psychological effect that I really fucking loved to the point where I wrote it down. The Venerable of Empty Words. Henry, once again, in with the save. Thank you so much. The Venerable of Empty Words. Yeah. I am as drawn to and interested in the fucking flower as I am that goddamn Venerable of Empty Words, man. They're both so fascinating. And I am going to have to go back and look up all the exact phrasing around it and what we know. Oh, thank you, Ninan. It does say, and it's part of why Tasha and June can't remember things like Chuaning teaching him to write. Yeah. Where there was Liv said something interesting, as she is wont to do. Where'd it go? Liv said, if you don't know happiness or goodness, how can you emulate it? Tasha and June is basically a child who never learned empathy. More or less, yeah. Never learned empathy and never, and is it's the perception of nobody fucking cares about me. Nobody gives a shit. He has no reason. When you don't remember any of the good moments that you have with people, like Chuaning teaching you how to write, of course you're gonna think the world is bullshit and should burn to the ground. It all comes down to perception in some like really fucking wild ways. Henry said the flower of low self-worth on steroids. That's officially the alternate name of that fucking flower. Ninan says, I don't even use Twitter because it seems to be mostly bad takes. I much prefer you lot. Well, one, thank you. Two, I never used Twitter very much because you can't curate your experience. If you go into a tag, you see everything posted in that tag. And there's a bajillion people and you can't block them all. You can't curate your experience until you're only seeing what you want to see and none of the absolute fucking madness. So that, which is actually Twitter and other sites and everything, is one of the reasons why I was like, I'll start Gaywatch and host my own conversations. Thank you. Ooh, Selfie said, my question is, why is Huabinon so fucked up? He's Chuaning's disciple too, and he tried so hard for all of them. Listen, she has me crazy. She has me paranoid. She she has me feral. It's been this way for a little while now. So I'm gonna throw out just a theory to bandy about, and I might actually muzzle Liv in this moment because she's really good at the red string theories, and I don't actually want her to confirm if this is something that she has a theory on. So, which I really hate to do, but listen, I have to do it to the wife as well, because she's like you, albeit in a completely different way, and that her guesses are usually right as well. So yeah, you and the wife can have a great conversation about how I do this to you. So here's the theory. How crazy is the idea that Huabinan has a flower planted in him? How silly is that? Like, is there some bit of information or lore that we have that completely obliterates the notion? Did we find out something about the flower lore that's ringing a bell, but I can't quite remember? Because it would kind of explain some things. Yeah, see? E, flower inception. That's what I'm saying. It would be a rather easy way to explain. Henry said, I think it would make sense, but I also want one bitch to be for real evil, since Meat Bun is so good at giving us characters who are also just products of their environment. That might be the entire point, though. The entire point may be that evil is just products of their environment. Which, that wouldn't be a bad point to make. I get what you mean, though, about how you want one fucking person to just be goddamn evil and just be evil about it. I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. I'm just saying, though, that might be the ultimate point of the entire series. And what a interesting way to make that point. Maria does ask a good question of, but then who planted Shamay's flower? And I have no idea. Liv is the really thorough theorist. I have whacked out crazy batshit ideas that I'm usually wrong about, and then every now and then I'm right, and I never let y'all live it down. Selfie? Then we just want to hate somebody. Yeah. Absolutely. Ooh. Tuxedo Cat said perhaps Shamay planted it in himself. Isn't he like, he's never had much in the way of spiritual power? That would be so deeply fucked up. Oh, no, that would be so fucked up, though. If it's not true, if that's not it, which, like, considering all the possibilities, like, you and I are probably wrong. That's probably not it. But that's a goddamn good idea, Tuxedo. That's a really good thought. I'm kind of in love with the idea of someone planting it in themselves. And then actually we'd get the best, that would be the best of all possible worlds. He planted it in himself. So the answer is both. He is an evil piece of shit who did it to himself. But there's still a flower in there that's still exacerbating everything, which would explain all of his behavior. But he still gets to be an evil piece of shit. That'd be great. I have no idea where my coaster went. Thank you. I'm not about to set Mo run on top of the book. Tuxedo said, if Shimei planted the flower in himself, would that make him evil or tragic? That's part of what makes it such a good idea. What an interesting topic to explore and dissect. I would love to see Meat Bun tackle that. That would be amazing to really like have that narrative debate about. I think it makes them both. Yeah, Henry, evil and tragic. I think that would potentially make him both. Or at the very least, not easily quantified. Which, isn't there a whole, thing in this entire series about the evils of black and white thinking? Blue, it would make him a fool. Ha! Yes, that as well. Oh, Lily. Hello, Lily. Lily says maybe the whole point is making you examine why you want to have someone to hate and blame everything on. Call me out. Lily makes a goddamn good point. I love it when writers can figure out a way to kind of low-key call out the audience and make them examine their own responses to things. That would be sick. Oh, Henry, Meat Bun and C.S. Picard are handshaking over the evils of black and white thinking. Indeed. Yet another reason why Erha fans should be Captive Prince fans and vice versa. Yeah, Tuxedo. Oh, we're coming up on time to hop over to the other stream. Yeah, Tuxedo says, see, that's the question. Why would Huabinon do that? For confidence reasons, boost his own hatred so he has the confidence to chase his goals. That's not a half bad theory, actually. It's so funny how I can see that there would be a couple of reasons why someone in his position would want to do that, but it's like difficult to articulate because I guess maybe it feels like it's not enough. Like he doesn't have much spiritual energy. He's not really, like Tuxedo said, he's not terribly like assertive, but he's so in love with Chuaning that he finds this way to become more powerful in a sense. And he takes it. And it turns him into an absolutely fucking goddamn heinous monster. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, Liv. Real quick before we go, Liv says, talking about Chuaning, if Huabinan loved Chuaning, maybe he could never have the heart to do those things. Then maybe he had to stop loving him. I think maybe he could never have the heart to do those things. Potentially could hit on it. Like, he sees the path to getting Chuaning to notice him. But it involves doing things that he doesn't want to do. But he wants Chuaning so badly that he plants the heart in himself. And it backfires horrifically. Henry! It's the last comment. Remove the flower, let Chuaning have a harem of disciples, and Shuimeng is also there. How dare you leave out Mei Han Shui? Shuimeng is also there. getting railed by Mei Han Shui, let us not forget. Yeah, see, Henry, when you want a man so bad, you have to make yourself evil. You guys see the vision. It is almost like certainly we are completely so far off base. But it's a fantastic fucking, like, thought experiment. It'd be really interesting, I'm just saying. All right, it's 2:57. I have to hop over to the reading stream. So thank you guys for chatting with me as per usual and for indulging my completely batshit theories. I'll be over there in just a second to read. Where the heck are we starting today? Page 181, chapter 259. That's where we'll be. So I'm going to hop on over. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in a second.